Well, one of the things I admire about you is your resilience. The fact that you can have
Yeah, well,
setbacks like that and keep going.
you end up having to pivot and so on. The other thing that happened as all this was happening, though, and the reason why we couldn't waste our time arguing with Microsoft as to how they had totally mistreated us, that we then saw the new mission, and the new mission at the time was that in fact GPS might in fact be real, okay, and might become actually affordable. So the first GPS receivers were what? $80,000. And then, heard of a group in Australia making a GPS receiver that you could buy, FOB Australia, for $100 each.
Wow.
And I thought that was the sliced bread that I was looking for. Why? Because if I can marry a GPS receiver with door-to-door road trips and put it on a computer that moves with me, then all I have to do is put in the destination as to where I'm going once. And it'll sit there and recompute if it needs to. Well, how you should be going there. And you don't have to touch it because the GPS receiver is going to put in where you are. With door-to-door road trips, you had to put in your origin and your destination. Type it in here, type it in there. Okay, destination doesn't change. But as you're going down the road, guess what changes all the time?
Mm-hmm.
Where you are.
Yeah.
If I have this thing, it's $100 that basically puts into the computer where I am. I don't have to do anything except one time put in the destination. So while Microsoft was kicking our butts with a $34.95 instant rebate, we were already moving down. We want to make this into a turn-by-turn navigation system for cars and trucks. These things, this has to be a great product. Everybody needs this. And I even argued that the people that would need it the most are people that tend to not ever go anywhere. Why do they need it the most? It's because maybe the reason they don't go anywhere is because they're afraid of how to get there and afraid of not being able to get back home. What does this do? No problem getting there. No problem getting back home. Never getting lost. Wow. Even if the GPS receiver does cost $100, that's cost of materials plus shipping. So then that sort of, so we got into the CoPilot aspects of this thing, which is what CoPilot is, turn-by-turn navigation system. And we put the first nationwide turn-by-turn navigation system on the market at J&R Computer World in August 1997. August 97, we put the first one on there. It was basically, you plug in a GPS receiver into a laptop, you You pop the CD into the CD drive. Hopefully you have a converter in your car to allow you to plug in your laptop. I mean, I used to, and making sure that this works and testing this thing, you know, I or the person riding next to me got burnt laps by having hot laptops sitting on our laps while we were, you know, getting this thing, the damn thing to work and work well and recompute and know how to recompute and how to do the map matching properly so that in fact it really does, even though there's error in the map database and there's error in the GPS system, that most of the time it really does have you on the right road and all that. Doing that well is not trivial. Dealing with the errors that exist in those systems, and getting that thing worked out so that it is a reasonable product that reasonable consumers will be reasonably happy to pay a reasonable price for, that you can whatever. And I guess I've never given it up. I just thought it was, I knew it was going to be fundamental and so on. And so, you know, what still, you know, we were the first, ended up being the first people to put this thing on the iPhone. As soon as the iPhone came out, we were the first ones on Android. We were, you know, worked to try to get the phone manufacturers to create a phone that also had a GPS receiver on it on board, as opposed to having the one on off board. I was the first guy to run the New York City Marathon with a GPS antenna on my head, my phone on my back, and I was watched. That was 2004, I believe. That was the first time that was done, and so on. You know, and the obvious thing, even in 1997, when we were, you know, doing the initial development of this, we always thought that, you know, that this is the perfect thing for a phone. Because a phone is mobile, this is mobile, this always allows you to at least get to where you want to go and give you direction, and then you don't have to worry about it, and it just does it for you. It should be on there. The big challenge with respect to phones was being able to put a GPS receiver on a phone that was sensitive enough to be able to pick up the weak GPS signal and not get overwhelmed by the phone antenna system that is like receiving, you know, and transmitting the phone stuff. And, you know, at one point, Motorola came out with a flip phone, the A470 or something like that. And it was the first one that had a GPS on board that worked. Siemens had been working on one. They couldn't get the damn thing to work because the noise from the regular radio blocked out the GPS. The A470, 370, geez, I can't remember. Terrible that I've forgotten the number. It's a beautiful phone. You know, now it had the GPS receiver on board, had enough memory, had enough compute power. We could put that sucker on there. It'd be on there and it worked. We thought, oh my goodness, finally gonna be rich. In the plastic housing of the Motorola phone, manufactured in China, was mercury.
Oh, no.
Never came to market.
Wow. PS
but eventually,
right?
The $80,000 GPS antenna is what, 80 cents of materials in the phone? 80 cents, I don't know, it's something like that. It's some ridiculous small number. Okay. Hey, it happens, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing. And would you go anywhere without one? No, I can't imagine anybody going without one. Whatever. is CoPilot still the best one that's on the market? Yeah, why? Because it operates on your phone. It doesn't require the communications. Okay, so should the communications go out, and in places where they charge you for communications and you don't have somebody else paying for it, still, and which recomputes your route fastest? CoPilot. Why? Because there's some elegance in the recomputing and the computations that go
on. Well, commercial market was very successful for you, though, right? As far as the trucking market?
Yeah, well, what happened was, out of the whole process, was that the consumer market, well, probably was never really profitable. Why? Because we didn't have the scale and so on to do the thing, and didn't want to get the scale. But in the trucking market, and applying this to truckers, and the map database that we developed that was focused on trucking, not necessarily consumers. Why is that important? You need to know bridge heights. You need to know width restrictions. You need to know where trucks can operate, not operate. You need to have routing algorithms that are appropriate for trucks, not for people. They're different. You need to be focused on the details of that particular market. We knew that well. And in fact, still so-called PC Miler and CoPilot truck and so on is I think there's essentially every trucking company uses these computer products and in the turn-by-turn navigation system and delivery, and putting the traveling salesman routine in there to actually do the tours for, let's say, type of home delivery and so on and so forth. Be able to automatically go out there and inform customers as to where the truck is and when it's going to be there, and do that all automatically, and have it updated because of changing conditions and real-time traffic and all those things associated with it. It's still out there, industry leader in all those details. Well, why? Because way back in 1996, in part because we got our butts kicked by Microsoft with their $34.95 instant rebate. We just said, hell with it, that's the past. We're going out for this future, and we're gonna beat them.
That's a really important lesson there, as far as what looks like a bad thing could actually turn into a positive thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what you have to do. That's what, many of us, hopefully all of us, have done with respect to coronavirus and so on and so forth, and all the pivoting and redirection and accepting and whatever that all of us have had to do over the past year. And you put any of us, a year ago and say, hey, all this is going to happen. I was said, it's time to lock you out.